We see a knight chasing a girl in the forest, and when she falls in front of him and he corners her, she hits him on the face, and suddenly the skin of his face comes off because of a spell he cast on himself, and he wants to kill her to take her mana to use in his spells. But suddenly a person named Zagan appears behind him and grabs his head, telling him, "You're making noise in my area and I can't sleep because of you." So the knight replies, "We're sorcerers like each other, and I can share my prey with you if you let me go." So he tells him, "I don't want anything from you," and blows his head up, so the girl is shocked and faints from what she saw. And Zagan uses a spell to remove the blood and return the knight's face as it was, and decides to move her from that place so he doesn't leave her unconscious in the middle of the road. But the strange thing is that his spell doesn't work because something blocked it, so he wonders how that happened since he is in his area and has placed protection around it from anyone else's spells. And suddenly his friend Barbados appears and Zagan asks him to stop blocking his spells, and Barbados notices that the girl has a large amount of mana, so he asks him, "What will you do with her?" And he replies, "Using someone else's mana is not my style," and moves her from the place with teleportation. So Barbados gets annoyed that he didn't let him take her to use her, so Zagan leaves him and walks away to sleep. So Barbados asks him, "Did you know that one of the demon kings, Marba, died?" And the demon kings are people who have a large amount of mana and have the authority to command the sorcerers of lower rank than them, and Marba was the oldest of them in age. So Zagan is shocked and tells Barbados, "Tell me the details." So he replies, "There will be an auction in Marbas's area on some goods that you and I are interested in, like the inheritance of the demon king." So Zagan replies, "And here I thought you came to tell me the news. Looks like you came because you want money." So Barbados replies, "You're the only one I know who can lend me that money, and that's why I came to you." And while they are walking they find a knight running to his commander, and Zagan notices that the situation in the city is tense, so Barbados tells him that's because of the people who are kidnapping girls to do sorcery experiments on them. So Zagan asks him, "And what's their goal?" So he replies, "I don't know. I expect they are planning to summon something important like a demon, for example." And he asks him, "Aren't you suspected in this kidnapping matter?" So Zagan replies, "That's stupid because experiments on other humans are useless," and they both enter the auction hall and find some celebrities there like Chimeris the Black Tiger, and the Witch Grimoire, and Veil for the Phantom. So Zagan asks Barbados, "Are they strong?" So he replies, "Yes. They are candidates to be the 13th Demon King instead of Marba, and I'm also a candidate." So he asks him, "And who will decide in the end?" So he tells him the other 12 will discuss it among themselves and decide. And at the same time 2 of the candidates for the position of Demon King are talking to each other, and they point at Barbados and say that person is on the list of candidates for the position of Demon King. And suddenly they hear the voice of the auctioneer announcing the rarest item that will be sold in the auction, and it's one of the elf race and her hair is white, not dyed. And he tells them that supposedly this girl was going to be one of King Marbas's followers, but after he died they decided she would be sold in the auction, and as soon as Zagan sees her he is very taken by her. And the auction starts at 10,000, and suddenly Zagan says 1 million and everyone around him is shocked and he wins the auction from the first round, and he feels something strange towards her, and jumps to stand in front of her but can't say anything to her, and the girl is looking at the ground and her facial expression is fixed, and he finds around her neck a collar that controls her mana so she doesn't escape. So Zagan asks the auctioneer, "Is she conscious?" And he replies, "Don't worry, we are keeping her in her natural state and she has amazing abilities so no sorcery has affected her." And suddenly Zagan tells him, "I want to hear the sounds of torment that will come from her." So the auctioneer and everyone around are startled, then he takes her with him home and is sitting on his throne with her in front of him, still not knowing what to say to her. So the girl interrupts his thoughts and tells him, "May I ask a question?" So he is surprised she spoke and likes her voice, and replies, "Ask." So she asks him, "How exactly will you kill me so I can prepare myself?" So Zagan is shocked and gets up from his place to tell her, "I won't kill you. I need you alive." So she looks around at the torture tools and asks him, "Should I expect something worse than death?" So Zagan gets more flustered because all these things belong to the former owner of the castle and he was too lazy to remove them. He calms down and introduces himself first and tells her, "I'm not interested in torture," and tries to ask her about her name but struggles to address her. So she tells him herself, "I'm Nephilia." So he likes her name and asks her, "And your family name?" So she replies, "I have no family name, but you can call me Nephi." So he asks her, is not having a family name common among elves? So she tells him, "No, I'm the cursed child," and asks him, "Are you planning to do experiments on me?" So he tells her no, and is afraid to confess to her that he bought her because he fell in love with her. Then he gets up and tells her, "For now choose the room you want." So she asks him, "The room where I will die." So he replies angrily, "I told you I won't kill you." So she tells him, "I don't understand why you won't do that." So he realizes she lived a painful childhood and was captured and sold as a slave and told she would likely be a test subject. And he says to himself, "I don't know the story of the cursed child, but it seems she doesn't want to talk about it. And I was the same. I didn't have a family name and don't remember my family even. The only thing I remember is that I lived in the garbage and people called me Zagan." So he tells her, "I bought you because I need you, so don't talk about death again," and takes her to show her the rooms so she can choose one, and suddenly while she is going up the stairs with him she slips and before she falls he catches her and holds her hand as they go up, and suddenly he opens a room door and finds a guillotine inside. so he closes it quickly and Nefi bows and tells him take my head as you want. So he tells her this is a misunderstanding, surely it was a trap to protect the castle, and he opens the door and finds a spell and blows up the guillotine. So Nefi enters and sees the moon from the balcony, and likes it very much, and asks Zagan is it okay if I take this room, so he asks her are you really satisfied with this place, so she tells him yes because it's the room you made for me. The next day, Zagan hasn't slept because Nefi is sleeping next to him on the floor, and that's because her room is still not ready for her to sleep in. Then he feels hungry so he gets up to bring food, and Nefi wakes up to find him coming in with the food, so she tells him good morning and he doesn't know what to say back. And when they sit to eat, Nefi is surprised that Zagan is eating from the same food she's eating from, and tells him it's nice that I got food but the strange thing is that you eat from it, so he's shocked that the food is this simple. So she tells him yes this is the food given to slaves like me, so Zagan is shocked because this is the food he's been used to eating since he was young and alone because it's what was available. And he starts thinking what normal people even eat, so she tells him I can make you food, so he's startled and asks her you know how to cook, so she tells him yes and he likes her more. He decides to take her to buy the ingredients so she can cook for him, and on their way they find a merchant passing by who tells them I can give you a ride for 3 bronze coins, so Zagan remembers he spent all his fortune buying Nefi and has no money, so he tells her walking is much better and takes her walking, and thinks of a way to get money like selling the torture tools he has in the castle but no one will buy them, or that he could have hit the merchant and stolen the cart to go with it, but he says to himself no this way Nefi will see me as a bad person, and thinks of selling the castle and opening a restaurant with Nefi. Suddenly they hear the merchant screaming and find a group of bandits attacking him, so Zagan feels Nefi shiver and fear from the scene she's seeing, and he feels that this is the same way she was kidnapped and became a slave, so he decides to be a hero in her eyes and save the merchant, and lightning strikes down on the bandits killing most of them, so the bandits are surprised that a sorcerer came to save someone because sorcerers usually are the ones doing these evil things in the first place. They attack him, and Zagan decides to show off his power in front of Nefi, and one of the bandits comes down at him with his axe, so Zagan catches the axe easily and breaks it with his fingers, and hits him in the face making him bleed heavily, so the bandits call their sorcerer, and when he arrives he's very surprised how a sorcerer is doing something good, so Zagan asks him are they hiring you, so he replies I don't know who you are but you'll regret meeting me. He draws a magic circle of flames on the ground, and Zagan stands indifferently without fearing him at all, and with one move he extinguishes the flames, so the opponent tells him nice move but too late and tries to activate his magic circle and is shocked it's not working, so Zagan tells him I've already taken control of this circle and it's mine now, and Zagan uses it and blows up the sorcerer, so the bandits are terrified of Zagan's power and run away from him quickly. Zagan looks at Nefi and finds her scared so he gets nervous and feels he did something wrong, so he tells her don't worry these thieves are not harmful at all. So the people laugh at them and thank Zagan for saving them and the merchant tells him I'll give you a ride for free and give you a reward, so Zagan thanks him and accepts, and says to himself this is a very good way to make money. But no sorcerers already have a very bad reputation. When they arrive at the city Zagan thinks of buying Nefi something, but expects she'll tell him I'm fine with anything, so he decides to take her to a clothing store to buy her new clothes, and Nefi is very happy with them, and before they leave the shop owner whispers in her ear, it's nice to have someone who cares for you like this. Then he takes her to a blacksmith and asks him do you know how to remove the collar on her neck? So Nefi is surprised that he wants to remove the collar, and the blacksmith tells him no this collar is made with special sorcery and I also think it's trapped so if you break it by force it could cut her neck. Surely there's another way to unlock it. So Zagan thinks that the auctioneer said they don't know how to remove it so surely when they took her from the Demon King's castle they didn't take the collar's key from there. Zagan thanks the blacksmith and gives him money, and before he leaves the blacksmith tells him no I won't take money from you this is repayment because you saved me and my daughter a year ago from bandits, so Zagan thinks this was surely a coincidence and he didn't intend to save the blacksmith and was just killing some people as usual for no reason. After they leave Zagan feels uncomfortable from how many people treated him nicely today and he's not used to that because he's a sorcerer, and on the other hand the blacksmith is surprised that Zagan's appearance has changed and he's not as scary as before, and Zagan and Nefi go to the market and buy what they came to buy in the first place, and by sunset they enter a restaurant and eat together. Nefi asks him are you really planning to remove the collar on my neck, so he tells her yes and she asks him don't you think I might run away if you remove it, so he says to himself the thought really is on my mind and it might happen, and Nefi has no reason to stay with me in the first place, but anyway even if she runs away it's not a problem as long as I remove it, and he tells her I still don't know how to remove it so I don't want to give you hope, and he blames himself for the way he talks to her, and that he said the opposite of what he wanted to say, and thinks there must be a sorcery book to learn how to talk to girls. Then he sees Nefi looking at the food in surprise, so he asks her is there something, so she tells him no and remembers when she was young living with her family before becoming a slave, and tells him I never ate food like this before. So Zagan feels he finally understood why he was drawn to her and liked her, and that's because she's like him and went through almost what he went through, and he tells her eat what you want. Surely this is better than the food we ate in the morning. And Neffy tries to use the fork and can't, so she remembers the spoon and tries it and tastes the food and likes it very much. Zagan tries to use the fork and can't, so he feels very embarrassed. So Neffy feeds him and he feels more embarrassed, so he feeds her too, and people look at them and laugh at their cute appearance, so they feel embarrassed and leave. On the other hand, the girl who saw Zagan blow up the knight's head is walking wearing knight armor this time, and we learn her name is Chastille, and she goes to the castle and remembers that she was in a battle exterminating evil sorcerers, and when she was returning the knights attacked them suddenly, so she fled to the forest and Zagan appeared then and saved her, and King Clavule enters and tells her welcome hero. So she replies there's no hero who takes a mission from you and comes back with 4 knights dead. So he tells her this is not your fault, and you promised that you'll avenge them, so be proud of yourself. Then he tells her after eliminating the sorcerers in their hideout we discovered the one responsible for all the kidnappings, and it's a sorcerer named Zagan. So Chastille is shocked and tells him impossible, so he replies sorcerers are evil. Even if he had nothing to do with the kidnappings, he is one of the evil ones and we must control him. So she asks him to take on the mission of finding him and he agrees. The next day, Zagan wakes up to find Neffy in front of him waiting for him, and she tells him breakfast is ready, and this time he's the one who tells her good morning, and he enters the dining hall to find it very clean and looking wonderful, unlike the sight he was used to, and he finds Neffy made him a lot of food and asks her did you go buy bread, so she tells him no, I baked it myself, so he's even more impressed with her. After that, he goes to his library and Neffy comes in and asks him what are you reading, so he tells her obviously I'm reading about sorcery. So she replies I thought so, but I wasn't sure these drawings were sorcery. So he asks her in elf sorcery are the drawings different, so she replies I don't know anything about sorcery at all. So he's surprised at her words even though she has a huge amount of mana. He starts explaining to her the basics of sorcery, and draws in front of her a very simple circle, and tells her this makes lightning if I add my mana to it, and when he shows her she is very impressed, so he tells her this is the lowest level of sorcery, and starts adding more symbols to the circle to have more control over the lightning, and adds the mana, and this time the amount of lightning is more and stronger. Then he tells her but the problem now with this circle is that if anyone puts their mana into it they can use it, so we must put in it a restriction that makes only the one who drew it able to activate it. So she tells him you just added things outside the circle, so is it possible to add inside it? So he tells her nice observation. The answer is yes and no at the same time. Because if you do that there will be interference between the mana and it will cancel each other and the spell won't work. But the one who can do it correctly is someone with complete control over their mana. So she asks him does that mean canceling someone else's sorcery is possible? So he replies yes, and if someone could do that then they would be the strongest person in the world. But all this is theoretical talk and no one even tries to do it because it's impossible to happen. She tells him I understood the basics of sorcery but can anyone do it? So he thinks it's clear she has good talent, and replies yes. For sorcerers the more knowledge you have the stronger you will be. And that's why we make traps and tricks to prevent anyone from stealing the knowledge, so be careful when you touch any book here. So she's startled and afraid of the books next to her. He tells her I'm joking, I adjusted all the traps so they won't work if you touch the books. So she's reassured and happy that Zagan is talking to her this long for the first time. So he tells her because sorcery is the thing I know most about, so I talked a lot. Then she asks him what will you do with all this power? So Zagan is silent for a while and replies I never thought about that before, but I think I learned all this just to survive myself. When I was young I had no money or a place to live, so I had to steal. And still I was better off than many people like me because I didn't die. But one day someone imprisoned me because children are suitable for experiments. I managed to save myself from him, but then I realized I had to be stronger to be able to live. Neffy looks down in despair and tells him I was never able to become stronger, so he tells her if you're interested in sorcery I can teach you, and suddenly he senses someone entered the range of his barrier around the castle, and it's Chastille and her knights, so he tells Neffy prepare dinner until I come back and goes out to meet them. On the other side Chastille breaks Zagan's barrier with her sword and enters, so Zagan appears in front of them, and looks at the sword in Chastille's hand, and realizes it's one of the 12 great famous swords said to have slain the king of fiends, then looks at Chastille and remembers she's the girl he saved from the knight and who fainted when he blew his head up in front of her. So he tells himself if I had known she was from the knights I wouldn't have let her go. Zagan attacks first with lightning, so one of the knights jumps in front of Chastille with his shield and blocks the lightning, so Zagan notices their armor is good, and the knight gets angry at Zagan and charges at him quickly, so Zagan runs at him with his fist and breaks his shield and sends him flying, and tells them will you leave or will you make this girl carry you all by herself? So the next knight attacks him and Zagan breaks his sword with his fingers and hits him on the head, knocking him to the ground and steps on him. He tells Chastille if I were you I wouldn't attack because I can crush his head with my foot right now. So she plants her sword into the ground, and asks him why are you torturing him? You want to humiliate us after we lost? So he replies if I kill you all the castle will treat it as 4 normal deaths. But if I torture you and let you return to the castle the news will spread and everyone will fear me, and he presses his foot harder on the knight, and Chastille gets angry but suddenly tells him you're lying. He says to himself, how did she know I'm lying? I really don't want to kill them, so Nefi doesn't see the corpses here, and Chastille pulls the sword from the ground and decides to finish off Zagan. So he makes a shield with a magic circle and she breaks it with her sword, so he decides it's better to dodge the blows, so Chastille feels he's mocking her and doesn't want to attack. So he tells her, I don't know how to attack women. She's very upset and tells him, why would someone like you stain his hands with sorcery? So he asks her, is using sorcery a crime? So she replies it's evil and they use it to harm people. So he asks her, and the power you use? Don't you kill the weaker sorcerers with it? So she attacks him and he puts his foot on her sword, and continues, I'm not trying to justify, but a large number of people need sorcery just to survive. And if you're trying to eliminate them for money, then you have no right to talk about justice. So Chastille hesitates for a moment and pulls her sword from under his foot and pierces his magic circle. He grabs the sword with both hands, so she lifts it and throws it at a tree, and Zagan finds that his hand is burned and his healing spell is slow because of her sword, so he decides to kill her because there's no other solution. And suddenly she whispers to him, live as if you're dead. So he's surprised and she explains to him that the church will not stop hunting him until he dies. And if he defeats her, they will send knights stronger than her to hunt him. And she tells him, live as if you're dead, and after that live your life as a normal human. He tells her, I can't believe I'm hearing this from a knight. So she replies, you didn't kill my men and you even talked about spreading fear, though I saw mercy in your eyes. So he is shocked at the word mercy because he knows he's an evil person. And she continues, and I haven't forgotten that you saved me. So he thinks that what she's doing is something forbidden and this way she's putting her life in danger. And he says to himself, I won't accept this because if Nefi ran away she would be attacked. Suddenly Nefi comes out of the castle, so Chastille's subordinates see her and one of them throws his spear at her. So Zagan runs quickly to her and blocks the spear with his hand so it pierces it. So Nefi gets very angry and raises her hand and plants come out of the ground and grab all the soldiers. So Zagan quickly holds her and tells her that's enough, so she comes back to her senses and stands. At night Nefi treats Zagan's hand, and he thinks of Chastille when she apologized to him and left with her soldiers. Then he asks Nefi, didn't you say you don't know how to use sorcery? So she tells him that wasn't sorcery. So he tells her, it doesn't matter. You are what matters to me no matter what your power is. Then he asks her, were you afraid? So she's surprised and asks him in astonishment, don't you see me as scary? He replies, of course not. I was just curious because I've never seen power like that before. So she's surprised and tells him that power was magic. So Zagan is surprised that magic really exists, and magic is not logical techniques like sorcery, it's a supernatural power that allows a person to use very strong abilities just by wishing. So he asks her, do all elves use magic? So she tells him no. Only me, because I'm a cursed child. She remembers when people called her scary and wanted to drive her out and kept their children from playing with her, and she tells Zagan there shouldn't be such a power, nor anyone born with white hair. So he notices that her look is the look of someone told, you're not human and you have no right to have feelings or desires. Nefi continues, and one day my village was attacked, and then the villagers asked me to use my power to protect them in exchange for letting me live, and then I felt something inside me break, and when I was captured and the others fled in despair, only a few of them survived and the rest became corpses, and when I saw them I felt they deserved it and laughed at them. So Zagan understands why she stopped expressing her emotions. So she tells him, I'm sorry, you must be disappointed now. He asks her, and why would I feel that? If I were you I would have killed the whole village along with the attackers. So she's shocked and tells him, but I don't think they'll forgive me for what I did. So he tells her they're dead so it doesn't matter. Live and become stronger. So she asks him, is it okay for me to become stronger? So he asks her, is having power wrong? Is the desire for power evil? When she doesn't reply, he tells her, if you're curious, I was told it's evil by a girl I saved from a bandit gang a long time ago. And he remembers when he told the girl it's natural you lose because you're weak. She replied, and the weak don't have the right to live. And will power make you great? And he tells Nefi, I felt then that she had a normal childhood. Pity and compassion are luxuries that make people careless. The comfortable life she lived made her weak. And I didn't accept that, so I lived trying to be stronger. He gets closer to her and tells her, I told you I need you. So she asks him, am I really allowed to stay here? So he tells her, of course. Especially after the meal you made me. I can't imagine my life without you anymore. So Nefi cries heavily. At night Zagan asks Nefi, do you want to learn sorcery? From what I saw today you have no control over your magic, right? So she replies with a question, do you think I can handle it? So he tells her, I'm surprised at the amount of power you use today, even though the collar around your neck is meant to block mana. And I'm still not sure learning sorcery will make you control your magic, but at least you'll use it to defend yourself. So she agrees with full enthusiasm because she wants to be useful to Zagan and protect him. Then she tells him about the story you told before. I felt that your power means you didn't understand what the feeling of a weak person is like. And you said it's all meaningless, but I feel it was painful for you. So he asks her in surprise, why do you feel that? So she replies, I don't know, but when you were talking I felt you were very sad. And suddenly she tells him, you're not a bad person. And maybe you don't talk much, but I will never forget that you treated me with all kindness. So Zagan's eyes tear up at her words. The next day Barbados comes to the castle, and he's upset because he heard about Zagan's fight with the knights and wasn't told, and tells him even the sword maiden Chastile couldn't defeat you. So Zagan replies no, she was actually very strong and managed to destroy the barriers around the castle. Neffy comes in with tea, so Barbados is shocked that Zagan still hasn't done any experiments on her, and asks him, you're keeping her alive to serve you? So he replies, no, Neffy is my student now, I'll train her so she can help me in battle. So he replies, I understood the reason for the mess in your castle yard, and asks him, do you want to be one of the demon kings? So Zagan replies, all I want is the key to Neffy's collar. But if I also have authority then no one will dare touch Neffy. Then he says to himself, even so I'm still not strong enough to take that position, there are people stronger than me who have been training for hundreds of years, and after Barbados leaves Zagan says what brought him here in the first place. So Neffy asks him in surprise, isn't he your friend? So he replies, impossible. Choosing friends must be done carefully. So she tells him in surprise, but you looked very happy when he was here. Then they go out to fix the barriers that the knights destroyed, and Zagan starts teaching Neffy sorcery and giving her the experience he gathered in 10 years, and days pass as he prepares her to be able to rely on herself and be strong. After a month a strange bird suddenly appears with a message for Zagan, and he's surprised it's from the 12 demon kings, so he goes to them in the ruins under the city they use as their hideout, and as soon as he enters he feels a huge pressure from their mana power, so he speaks to them with an arrogant tone so no one underestimates him, and they tell him, we chose you to be the 13th demon king instead of Marba. And they draw the demon king's emblem and tell him to take the position, you must take this emblem. Zagan feels an enormous amount of mana from the emblem, and the same amount coming from each one of them, so he tells them it doesn't make sense. There are many sorcerers far stronger than me, so they reply, your words make sense, you're still not strong enough. But even so no sorcerer can kill you. The first sorcerer you killed, Andres the Cursed, was a strong person, and the impressive thing is that you could copy his power from a single glance. And not only that, you figured out his sorcery's strength very quickly, and because of that you could create a very unique sorcery. Zagan remembers the sorcerer who had imprisoned him in a dungeon when he was young, and says to himself, they've found out my secret weapon, and they continue, we admire your sorcery and your talent, and we know no one can stand against you, and if you want to take something from someone you will take it. Your power truly suits a ruler, and with time you will be the best sorcerer in history. He replies, if what you say is true then that means I can take all your sorceries, so they all laugh mockingly, and one of them, the only one wearing a white robe, replies, your words are true but know that we can take much more from you than you can take. So he remembers Neffy and understands they mean her, and they tell him the wrath of a demon king is not a simple thing. It's the erasure of everything in your life, whether human or material or memory, meaning the erasure of your existence entirely. And this is the nature of the beings you're facing now, and that you will become one of them, and then you won't see peace again, and you will move from the darkness of sorcery to a much greater darkness. This is the world awaiting you. He says to himself, I've known all this from the first moment I decided to be a sorcerer, and I knew the next step was one of two things, either become one of the demon kings or die and be forgotten. But I can't drag Neffy into that darkness, so he tells them, I agree to be a demon king but with a condition, so they agree. At sunset Zagan returns home and Neffy has finished dinner, so he tells her, I became one of the demon kings, and she congratulates him, and he continues, and because I became a demon king I now have their possessions, and he takes out her collar's key and unlocks it, but suddenly he says, I don't need you anymore, leave this place. After a while Neffy is in the street sitting in shock and unable to comprehend what happened, to the point she asks herself, why am I here? I was just making dinner for Zagan, and she gets up to go back to the castle, but when she sees her collar she remembers that Zagan actually expelled her, then she remembers his words when he said I need you, and falls to her knees from the heartbreak she feels. Chastile comes up to her and asks, are you okay? So Neffy gets up and asks her, are you here to kill me? So Chastile is surprised that she's happy she's going to die, and replies, no, you're misunderstanding, I'm not going to hurt you. So Neffy insists she kill her, and people see them and think Chastile is bothering Neffy, so they get angry at her, and Maniola the clothing shop owner comes in and stands in front of Chastile. Chastile tries to explain to her and to the people that she's not here to bother or kill her, so Neffy replies to reassure them that she didn't do anything, and Chastile cries because of their suspicion of her. After that they all go to Maniola's restaurant and Maniola asks Chastile, you weren't bullying Neffy? So Neffy replies, no, she didn't do anything. Then the food comes and Neffy tastes it and remembers she was making dinner before Zagan threw her out, so tears fall from her eyes and they all get very worried, so she tells them that Zagan kicked her out of the house. So Chastile replies, I thought he was a respectable man but it seems he was just using you. So Neffy replies, no, Zagan is not the kind of person who would do that. Maniola asks her, did something strange happen before he kicked you out? So Neffy replies, yes, he came and told me he became a demon king. So Maniola tells her those are the most important sorcerers, and the town we are in was ruled by a demon king named Marba and we lived in peace. But since he died very bad things have been happening, so Chastile continues like sorcerers kidnapping girls to experiment on them. Maniola replies, yes, but the castle caught those who were doing it. I think the one responsible for that was someone called the Face Stealer. So Chastille remembers when Clavule told her that Zagan was responsible for the kidnappings happening. So Neffy asks Maniola, do people here have a bad opinion about the castle knights? So Maniola replies, because they asked us for a very large amount of money in exchange for saving us. So Chastille feels guilty. Neffy says but Chastille has no fault and she's not the one who asked for that amount. So Chastille is very happy she's defending her and doesn't see her as guilty. Then she tells them the important thing is that we must take down the demon kings. But the problem here is that we have 12 great swords and they are 13 rulers. So the solution we always used was to take down the newly appointed 13th ruler before he becomes strong and poses a threat to us. And also the rest of the sorcerers target him to get promoted, so Neffy understands that because of the war that would happen to him he stayed away to protect her. Suddenly Chastille asks her, do you think Zagan could gather some sorcerers to kidnap people and experiment on them? So Neffy replies no, because he doesn't care about weak people. And even when he saved some merchants from bandits he said he only did it because they were causing trouble. So Neffy realizes while talking that he might have been doing it for her, and Chastille replies, you're right. Even when I was fighting him he went easy on me because I'm a woman, and I noticed something strange about him. I felt he needed help or compassion but doesn't show it. Neffy is surprised and wonders that someone else noticed what she suspected, and when she's sure she feels she wants to go to Zagan to help him and stand by him, so Chastille grabs her sword and Neffy thinks she's going to fight Zagan. So Chastille tells her no, there's a sorcerer impersonating him and committing crimes in his name and I have to take him down. Maniola tells Neffy, if anything happens to you or you have a problem come to me. So Neffy asks her, why are you treating me kindly? So she replies in surprise, because you're my friend. So Neffy is surprised and tells her, I never had friends before. So Maniola is happy and Chastille tells them, and I also want to be your friend. So Maniola teases her and asks, is it okay for a knight to be friends with a sorcerer's helper? Then tells her, I'm joking, we're already friends. Suddenly Chastille's knight subordinates come in, and when they see Neffy they're terrified of her because of what she did to them last time, and suddenly a black aura surrounds them and attacks them, kidnapping Neffy and Chastille, and tells them, I am Zagan, if you want the two girls come to my castle. On the other side Zagan is in the forest, holding some knights who fell into his trap he made with Neffy, so he remembers Neffy and says to himself, the people in Keanoides love her and surely she will live among them a calm and happy life without worry about sorcerers, the castle, or anything else. And before he leaves one knight grabs his leg and tells him, I'm not interested in what you'll do to us, but please not Captain Chastille. She's the only one who defended you and saw you as innocent. She even opposed the castle ruler to stand by you. Suddenly Maniola lands in front of Zagan and tells him that Neffy and Chastille were kidnapped, so he's shocked and thinks he was too late in pushing her away from him, but he's afraid to go save her so no one knows she's connected to him or knows him, and then attacks her. And Maniola interrupts his thoughts and tells him, why are you hesitating? Neffy was trying to come back to you and wanted to stay with you and support you. So he feels that her words and her weak hits on his body are far stronger than any attack he's ever faced, so he decides to go save the person who cares for him the most. Maniola decides to go with him to save her friends, and the knights hold on to him and beg him to take them with him, so Maniola asks him, do you even know where we're going? So he replies, yes, I know who did all this. At the same time Neffy wakes up and finds herself restrained with Chastille next to her, and notices the cuffs block mana like the collar that was around her neck but can be removed normally without a special key, and suddenly Barbados comes in. So Neffy tells him, I thought you were Zagan's friend. So he laughs and tells her, I didn't expect anyone to use that word on sorcerers. He asks her, have you ever heard of someone called Andres the Cursed, and tells her that's the first sorcerer Zagan killed, and by coincidence I was his student. So Neffy is shocked. So he tells her, don't worry, no sorcerer cares about avenging his master. I would have killed him myself if Zagan hadn't done it, because the castle he's in and all the money he spent on you, even the books he reads, all that was supposed to be mine. So can you blame me for not staying silent and letting him take all that without doing anything? I'm the one who incited the castle knights against him, but it didn't work, because my stupid subordinates left too many traces, and those I sent to fight Zagan directly all got beaten. Chastille asks him in surprise, so you were the one kidnapping the girls? So he asks her, you just realized? So Chastille gets very angry, so he tells her the face stealer who was chasing you the day Zagan saved you is the one who came up with the idea. Even so, we needed means to make large-scale techniques that would prove to the demon kings that I deserve to be one of them, and the mana of the white elf should be enough to open the gate. Neffy replies, I don't think what you're doing matters because Zagan has already become the 13th ruler. So Barbados is shocked and says, so he stole from me the castle and the fortune, and now he stole from me the position I wanted, and he gets angry and drags Neffy on the ground towards the magic circle he drew. So Chastille shouts at him and tells him, if you want to take someone, take me. So he replies, don't rush, your turn will come. Neffy tries to resist so she can go back to Zagan and help him, and before Barbados casts his ominous sorcery on her, Zagan breaks the wall and cancels his sorcery. Barbados is surprised and asks him, when did you notice I was behind all this? So he replies, I suspected from the moment that Face Stealer appeared, and I couldn't believe that someone who was begging me to spare his life could break the barriers around my castle. And the only one I could think of was you, because you're the only one used to breaking through my security system. I know you use dimensions and can teleport anywhere and summon anything, and on the same day Face Stealer appeared you came to visit me as if you came to see the result. I'd be crazy if I didn't suspect you. And he quickly attacks Barbados, injuring his arms and then his knee, and runs to Nefi, freeing her from the restraints, and asks her, is anything hurting you? So she cries and tells him, you're the one who looks in pain. I don't know what happened to you, and maybe I should accept that you said you don't need me, but there's no way you're okay. Zagan blames himself for leaving her alone, and Barbados gets angry and draws a summoning circle. So Zagan tells Nefi, don't be afraid, nothing will happen, and Barbados's circle shatters, and every time he draws another it doesn't activate. So Nefi asks Zagan in surprise what's happening, so he replies, remember the theoretical talk I told you about absolute sorcery, which is adding magic circles inside other magic circles to cancel the sorcery? Honestly, I didn't say there's a little trick that makes this possible. It's that you put the same magic circle inside itself and then the two circles cancel each other. Barbados asks him in shock, is this ability Andrus's inheritance? So Zagan replies, if he could do that he wouldn't have died. I was 8 years old when I used sorcery for the first time, and back then Andrus made a magic circle in front of me the moment he imprisoned me, and I remembered its shape and drew it on my hand without him noticing. And supposedly just an amateur like me back then couldn't copy a sorcery just by drawing its shape. But when I was captured while trying to escape and was about to die, I activated the magic circle at the same time Andrus cast it, so he got hit by it and died. Barbados gets angrier and creates a lot of magic circles around him. So Zagan breaks them all, and Barbados is shocked and tells him, some of these spells you've never seen before, how did you draw them and break my circles in an instant? So he replies, if this is your strength then even an amateur could break your circles if his timing is right. You still have a long way to go to improve your skills if you want to be a sorcerer. When I was weak like you, I locked myself among the books and kept developing my sorcery. I didn't go out or meet any of the street kids I lived with or talk to anyone ever, and no one came to look for me at all. But you kept appearing to me and didn't care that I was annoyed by your presence. So Barbados replies, I could have killed you at any moment, but I was curious what a kid like you was doing. Zagan shows him what he was doing and creates a very powerful and differently shaped magic circle, and takes control of the magic circles Barbados drew on the ground, making them enhance his power. So Barbados asks him, did you eat my sorcery? So Zagan likes the comparison he made and tells him, by the way, the Demon Kings gave me a new title, Sorcerer Killer, and he unleashes his deadly strike on Barbados. And here Barbados realizes he wouldn't have been able to stand against Zagan even if he became a Demon King. Zagan approaches him, so Barbados tells him, wait, you've won already. I won't show you my face again and I'll give you everything you want. We're friends, right? So Zagan mocks him and asks, is there even a sorcerer who has friends? And slams the ground with all his strength, deliberately not hitting him, and suddenly Zagan laughs and tells him, I'm joking. Anyway, if I wanted to kill you I would, but then who would bring me juice like you do? So Barbados gets angry that he's pitying him and promises to kill him if he lets him live. Zagan tells him, no problem, if the drinks will be on you every time I win the fight. So Barbados asks him in surprise, what will you gain from letting your enemy live? So Zagan replies, I think the things sorcerers are used to are silly. I'll do what I want, and you have to be stronger to force me to change my mind if you don't like it. Suddenly the magic circle on the ground activates, so Zagan tells Barbados there's no point in doing that, so he replies, it's not me. So Zagan realizes that when he hit the ground he might have activated the circle by accident, so he tells them run quickly and a wave of mana comes out of the magic circle. So Zagan asks Barbados, what were you planning to do here? So he replies, I was planning to summon a real demon. And demons are being said to have lived in ancient times, and there's no proof they exist now. But there are theories that the symbols used in sorcery were passed to humans from demons, and the mana forms into a shadow because there's no sacrifice, so the summoning is incomplete. Even so, Zagan feels an extremely heavy pressure greater than what he felt in front of the 12 demon kings. But suddenly the demon's shadow bows to him and says, command me. So Zagan realizes the demon king's emblem on his hand is the reason, and looks at his hand to see it glowing. So he tells the demon, leave this place, it's not for you. So the shadow returns to where it came from and the magic circle on the ground disappears, but the place starts collapsing. So Zagan takes them all and gets them out. Outside he meets Chastile's subordinates and they take her from him and leave, and Maniola thanks Zagan for saving her and bids them farewell. After that Barbados agrees with Zagan that he'll bring him the juice he likes, so he spares him. So in the end Zagan and Nefi are left alone and both feel awkward. Nefi tells him, I want to stay by your side. So Zagan notices she's become stronger than before, but suddenly he drops to his knees and tells her, can you call me by my name instead of master? You're not my slave or servant or student. And he can't tell her he loves her, so he tells her we'll stay together always until one of us dies. So Nefi is happy and agrees. Strangely, she takes out the slave collar and asks him, can you put this around my neck again? So Zagan is shocked and she tells him, I want it because it reminds me of our first meeting and it was the reason I'm with you. So Zagan agrees and puts it around her neck with his own hand, and she asks him, so what am I to you now? So he says to himself, I don't know. Someone help me and tell me how to love my bride. The next day we see some people talking about the appointment of a new demon king, and they say he's a very scary person, and we find Chimeris and Grimoire sitting together at a table listening to what's being said. So Chimeris asks her, aren't you upset? I thought you'd be the demon king. So she replies, no, I'm not upset. I just want you to watch and everything in this city will change. Outside the restaurant we find people talking about Zagan and wondering if he'll rule the city instead of Marba, and they say they saw him going down to buy things from the market himself normally despite his high position, and they talk about Nefi too and say she's very beautiful. On the other side in the knight's castle, Clavuel asks Chastille, you're refusing to lead the mission to take down the 13th demon king, so she tells him yes, and thinks about how he saved her life twice so she can't betray him, and continues, as I told you before, Zagan is not the one responsible for the kidnappings that happened. So he gets angry because she's defending a sorcerer and strips her of her knight rank. So she says to herself they care more about placing blame than dealing with the demon kings. I think the castle has become very bad, and her subordinates try to defend her in front of the castle ruler, but Chastille silences them so no one shares the blame with her and gets expelled like her. She gives Clavuel her great sword, and remembers that when she first got this sword she was proud to use its power to protect people, and says to herself, I didn't notice that I had just been following the castle's orders and not wielding the sword by my own will. And strangely Clavuel tells her, don't be upset. Do you think I'm happy that I issued such a decision? It will take time, but your punishment will be lifted in the end. So she asks him in surprise, what do you mean? So he tells her, swords choose who will wield them, so it's hard to take it from you and you are one of the chosen, and I will try to find a solution. So Chastille is happy that there's still someone who sees her as valuable in this castle, and he continues, but be careful, all I can do is protect you politically. And there's a terrifying man coming here. He is the most dangerous wielder of a great sword in the castle, Raphael Hierandel. So Chastille is shocked because she's heard rumors about his cruelty, and the first thing she thinks is that he's coming to this castle because she rebelled, and at sunset she leaves. On the other side, Zagan is in the castle's library reading the books he took from Marbaz's castle, hoping to find any evidence of the existence of demons or any information, and Nefi comes in trying to sneak to surprise him, so he notices her and lets her do what she wants. But in the end she makes a sound and reveals herself. So he asks her, why do you want to surprise me? And she replies, because I see you tired from all the research you're doing. So he realizes how sweet she is and that she wanted to make him happy and ease things for him. Then she tells him lunch is ready and takes him and they go eat together, and he's surprised at the number of dishes she made for him, which she learned from Maniola, and dessert time comes, and when he tries it he likes it a lot, and suddenly he feels something breach the barrier but stays in place to finish the dessert. And the intruder enters the room, so Zagan tells him it's polite to introduce yourself first, but he remembers seeing him before in the auction hall and his name is Valefor the Phantom, and he was one of the candidates for the position of Demon King. Valefor charges an energy orb in his hand, so Zagan tells him angrily, I'm eating, wait until I finish, so Valefor cancels the energy orb and waits. So Nefi tells Zagan, I can make you another later, so he replies, I won't waste food. So Valefor feels insulted and extends his claws quickly, so Zagan stops them with one hand, and notices this is not a sorcerer's hand, and Valefor opens his mouth charging energy. So Zagan gets annoyed because this will ruin his food, and hits him with a strong blow, knocking him unconscious. Suddenly they find that Valefor's head was actually a helmet, and Nefi finds inside the armor a small unconscious girl. So Zagan is shocked and feels guilty for hitting a little girl. So he carries her on his back and takes her to one of the rooms, and when the girl wakes up she's startled and attacks Zagan. So he grabs her fist and tells her, you owe thanks to Nefi. I would have twisted your neck and thrown you out of the castle. And he says to himself, of course I'd never do that in front of Nefi. Then he asks her, why did you come to attack me? So she replies, because I want to be strong. So he tells her, your right, strength is necessary. But why me? So she tells him, because you just took the position of Demon King, and since you're known as the Sorcerer Killer I thought I could beat you if you didn't use sorcery. So he replies, I really can't stop your abilities because they're not sorcery. You're a dragon, right? So she's surprised he knew, and he himself is surprised that there are still dragons alive. He notices she's like him when he was young and got caught stealing food, so he decides to handle her the right way, and gets up and tells her, you challenged a Demon King and that means you'll be punished. I order you to help Nefi in the castle for a week. So she and Nefi are surprised, and he says to himself, I can teach her what's allowed and what's not while she helps Nefi. I don't know much about morals, but at least I can teach her how to behave like a villain. And if she makes the same mistake again then I won't feel guilty. Suddenly Valefor asks him, aren't you going to eat me? So Zagan is shocked and says to himself, I know I'm a bad person, but even someone like me hurts when hearing such words from children. So Valefor says humans think eating dragon meat will make them stronger, so Nefi is surprised by this. So Zagan tells her and bathing in dragon blood will make you immortal and eating their meat will give you endless mana and their bones are made into an elixir that cures any disease. But many legends are like that and that's why Veilfor hid her identity. He replies to Veilfor, I assure you I won't eat you because all I'd gain from that is a bad taste. Then he asks Nefi to bring her some of the food she just made, so Veilfor suspects him and asks him, what are you planning? So he tells her, no, this is called kindness. And because I'm strong and you're weak I give you food. So she's irritated and before she throws the plate of food in his face, he gives her a terrifying look and tells her, I hate people who waste food especially if Nefi made it. And I kill them. So she's scared and decides to eat, and likes the food a lot so she eats it quickly. Then he heads to the door and tells her, help Nefi with whatever she needs from you. So she tells him, wait, aren't you afraid I'll attack her after you leave? So he replies, do whatever you want. I'm sure you know what will happen to you if you try to escape. And I know your secret. Oh, and by the way, you're mistaken. Nefi is much stronger than you actually. The reality is the opposite of what he said, and he's worried and anxious about Nefi so he stands watching them from behind a tree as they hang clothes on the line. So Nefi asks her, are you afraid of Zagan? So she replies, I'm not afraid of his face but his power is very terrifying even though he didn't use any of it when I attacked him. So Nefi reassures her that he doesn't use his power without reason, and asks her, what are you planning to do after this? So Veilfor replies, I don't know. I'm too weak to face any of the other demon kings. She asks Nefi, why do you obey a man like that? So Nefi replies, I came here when Zagan bought me but he never treated me as a slave. He treated me as a person and that's why I like being here, and asks her, do you have a place like that? So Veilfor replies, no, I have nowhere to go. As the days pass, Veilfor becomes more comfortable and learns many things from Nefi, and Zagan doesn't find what he's looking for in the books he has, so he decides to go to Marbaz's castle because it's hard to believe that a demon king like that had no interest in demons, and Veilfor comes into the library and tells him dinner is ready. So Zagan leaves and Veilfor follows behind him. She asks him, aren't you afraid I'll attack you when you turn your back to me? So he remembers when Barbatos told him, if you let me live I'll kill you, and replies, someone told me something like that recently. So I'll answer you the same reply I told him, do it whenever you want but if you lose every time you'll stay here in the castle and help Nefi. Then they go have dinner together, and Veilfor apologizes to him for interrupting him when he was eating last time, so Zagan forgives her easily. Then he tells them, I'm thinking of taking Veilfor with me to the Demon King's castle. So Veilfor is shocked and asks him, are you crazy? That means you'll share with me the knowledge of a demon king. You even let me enter your library that has your important secrets. Didn't it occur to you that I might steal them? So he replies, I don't mind. I consider techniques and knowledge things that should be stolen in the first place. I killed the owner of the castle we're in and stole all his knowledge. So she tells him, but you could force me to obey and serve you. So he replies to me, it doesn't matter whether you're a dragon or how long you've lived or even whether you use sorcery or not. You're still a child and no one should test you on something or hold you accountable. So Veilfor cries and Zagan is shocked thinking he hurt her with his words, so he puts his hand on her head and tries to comfort her, then tells her surely obeying a demon king will benefit you a lot, and surely no sane person would risk targeting you, so she agrees to go with him and tells them call me Vor from now on. And the next day Vor writes her daily diary, saying me and my roommate Nefi were cleaning the castle and making food. It's tiring but not annoying and she would usually praise me when I did something good. Yet I don't understand the relationship between the Demon King and Nefi. Nefi goes to him every morning and looks at him while he's sleeping for a bit and then goes to start her work. And the Demon King spends most of his time in his library reading sorcery books and also gives Nefi lessons in it. But I feel warmth in my chest living here. Tomorrow they will take me to the former Demon King's castle. And the next day they move towards the castle of Marquesias, and on their way they enter Maniola's shop to get new clothes for Vor. So Vor is very happy with the new clothes and thanks Zagan for them. And on the other side Chastille is walking thinking about giving up her greatsword and her position for Zagan and Nefi, and says to herself, at least my withdrawal from the mission to eliminate Zagan will delay it, though I doubt he will thank me for that later. But I want to see them happy and be a family one day and enjoy their lives. And it's an honor for me if they remember me after I die. And suddenly she finds Zagan and Nefi in front of her holding Vor's hand, so she asks them, you already have a child? So they are shocked and tell her she's not their daughter, and Vor asks Zagan, who's this? So he asks her, right, who are you? So Chastille is shocked that he doesn't know her and Nefi reminds him of her and is annoyed he forgot. So he tells them, I'm used to her look in knight armor, it's my first time seeing her like this. And her knight subordinates enter, and suddenly Zagan feels Vor's power and finds she transformed her hand into a dragon's hand. So he tells her no and she asks him why. So he replies, because Nefi has many friends around us and there will be casualties, and the knights take Chastille with them because Clavoyle wants her. And after they leave Zagan asks Vor, did they do anything to you? So she replies, does a sorcerer need a reason to hate knights? So he tells her, you're right. And they arrive at the underground castle of Marquesias, so Vor feels there's mana of a dragon that once lived inside, so Zagan tells her let me know if you find anything related to the dragon, and when they enter finds a magic circle with dragon drawings. So Zagan tells her well done and asks if she knows how to activate it. So she tries and actually activates it, so a secret underground door opens and they go down to find a huge library full of books. So finds a book titled The 12 Great Swords, so Zagan is surprised and quickly takes it from her, and finds in it the Demon King crest that's on his hand and remembers he had seen it in this book before. And on the other side Raphael enters to Chastille and the rest of the knights, so he welcomes Chastille and tells her I've heard a lot about you, and I know you lost your position because of disobeying orders, then asks her how many sorcerers have you killed in your career, so she thinks about how he is the person who has killed the most sorcerers among the knights and that he will cut her head off if he finds out she helped Zagan, so she replies I don't think it's a number worth boasting about. So the other knights are surprised by her reply, and Raphael laughs and tells her it's been a long time since anyone spoke to me with such boldness, so all the knights stand in front of her to protect her before he kills her, and Clavoil enters and tells Raphael what are you doing with my knights, so he replies I have nothing to do with someone like you, so Clavoil replies whatever, I must protect my knights. So Raphael asks him did you take this knight's great sword, where is it, so Clavoil asks him and what's it to you, so he replies swords choose the person who will wield them, and as long as the chosen person is still alive no one else can use their sword, and that's why I think I must cut this girl's head off, and I want you to know you have no right to tell a great sword wielder what to do and not to do. So Chastille replies you're exaggerating in your words, if we used our swords as we pleased we'd just be murderers, so he gets angry and tells her this is the second time you speak to me in that tone, and draws his sword putting it in front of her and tells Clavoil are you happy that one of your knights is about to die and she's without a weapon? So Clavoil tells Chastille come with me, and gives her back her sword, so Chastille realizes Raphael was doing all this just to return her sword to her. And at night we find Zagan sitting with Barbados in a cafe. Barbados mocks him for taking care of a child, and tells him he heard rumors that he kidnapped a little girl, so Zagan tells him if you came just to say that you better leave, so Barbados grabs him and tells him no I'm buying you the juice you like, and asks him who's the child with you, so Zagan replies it's someone you know, so Barbados thinks for a bit and asks him Valefor, so Zagan is shocked he guessed it that quickly, but is relieved when he finds he's talking about Valefor's attack on the castle, and tells him yeah Valefor attacked me and I kicked him out, so Barbados tells him there are rumors saying it's a dragon, if we catch it we can make a catalyst from its corpse, so Zagan says to himself we must keep Valefor's true identity secret from people like Barbados, and Barbados asks him again about the child, so Zagan replies let's say I adopted her. So Barbados laughs and then decides to speak seriously, and tells Zagan the castle sent a very dangerous person named Raphael to hunt you, and this person killed 499 sorcerers and chose you to be number 500. So Zagan is surprised that a single person could kill that many sorcerers even with a great sword, so Barbados tells him there are rumors saying he ate a dragon. So Zagan remembers when he saw hatred in First Eyes and understands why she hates them that much, and Barbados continues the castle doesn't approve of eating dragons so it's just a rumor not certain. Then Raphael enters from the cafe door, and at the same time Zagan asks Barbados what does this Raphael look like, so Barbados replies a very huge person and old with a scar on his face and rumors say it's because of the dragon, and Zagan sees him in the reflection of the cup in his hand as he approaches them. So he tells Barbados I just saw someone like the one you described by coincidence. So he replies don't joke if he sees you he'll attack you immediately, so Raphael stomps the ground hard and Zagan tells him I think that's going to happen now. So Raphael smiles an evil smile and the cafe owner loses consciousness, so Barbados attacks him and Zagan stops him, telling him I don't think he came for a fight, and tells Raphael there's an empty spot would you like to join us, so Raphael replies seems the new Demon King is a calm person. And when they sit Zagan asks him do you need something from me, so he introduces himself first and tells him I heard you fought one of my colleagues, so Zagan realizes he means Chastille, and tells him though my appearance is not as striking as yours, so Raphael laughs at his compliment and tells him and you really look as evil as I heard in the rumors, so Zagan tells him I think your hobby is killing sorcerers but there's two in front of you here and you didn't kill either of us. So he replies stupid, I only kill those who cause trouble, so Zagan is surprised because that's not the story he heard about him. Then Raphael asks him was Chastille strong, so Zagan replies not sure but she was stronger than anyone I fought before at least, so Raphael replies that means she's a serious threat to the castle, so Zagan asks him what do you mean, so he tells him she objected to the operation to get rid of him and that's more than enough reason for the castle to get rid of her. So Zagan is surprised she did that for him and put herself in a hard position when she could have just gone along with it and pretended to be with them, and Raphael gets up and tells him I'm done with what I wanted, so Zagan realizes he came here just to know if she had a connection to him or not to find a reason to take her out, so he tells him wait, Chastille has friends from this city who will be very upset if she dies, and this city is my territory, and I'll take you out if you kill her, so Raphael laughs and leaves. So Barbados tells him I think you should chase him and kill him, so he replies go do it yourself. So he's shocked and asks him, do you want me to die? So Zagan replies, yes, but that's not what I mean. I want you to go check on Chastille, you're faster than me with your instant teleportation magic. And Zagan returns home and finds Nefi and Fer waiting for him, but Fer had gotten tired and fallen asleep, so Nefi tells him she spent the whole day arranging his library for him so he could read. And Barbados arrives by instant teleportation with Chastille unconscious, and tells them save her quickly, she's poisoned. So Fer wakes from the noise and sees the great sword with Chastille, so she gets very angry and transforms her hand and quickly attacks her, so Zagan stands in front of her and holds her hand, and she asks him, why did you stop me? So he asks her, was she the one who hurt you? So she replies, there's a person with a great sword who killed my family. So he tells her fine, but she didn't do that. And if you kill her, the person you want to take revenge on won't care. All that will happen is you'll make enemies and they'll block your path to revenge. And that's a common mistake beginners make. So she asks him angrily, and what do you know? So he replies, revenge is making your targets suffer and despair and be terrified and make them beg you to let them live. Then kill them if you want. So she asks him, have you taken revenge before? So he tells her, yes, but I failed and killed him in a single moment, so I didn't feel any improvement. And that's why I'll teach you how to take revenge properly. And lucky for you, this castle is full of torture tools I'll make you use. So Fer calms down and tells him fine, and when Chastille wakes she finds Zagan in front of her, so he tells her, you must thank Nefi because she's the one who treated you after you were poisoned, and asks her any idea who did it, so she tells him not sure. I got a letter with no sender's name, and the person I met was from the castle but hid his face and told me there's a group supporting coexistence between sorcerers and knights. And since you challenged the castle you surely need protection. And to prove I'm worth your trust if you fall into danger call Urobas. And when I asked, is that your name, he replied, yes and no. Consider it the name of our leader. The important thing is this name will protect you whatever the situation. And when I returned to my room I found a teapot on the desk, so I tasted it and it turned out to be poisoned. So Zagan asks her any idea who poisoned you, so she replies, I think it was Raphael. So he tells her, I doubt that. A person like him would cut your head off right away without any tricks. Anyway, since you're Nefi's friend you can stay here as long as you want. And the next day we find Chastille wearing maid clothes and upset. So Zagan tells her, I said you can stay as you like, but I didn't say it's for free. And she notices Fer looking at her angrily, so she tries to talk to her and Fer replies, don't talk to me, and leaves her and runs. So Zagan explains to her that someone among those with the holy swords killed her family. So Chastille asks him, wouldn't it be better if I leave? So he replies, no, just leave her be. And after a while Zagan hears Chastille screaming, and that's because Fer threw a frog at her, so Zagan goes and mocks her, telling her, I think she's trying to bother you without using her power because she's still a child, and suddenly Fer throws frogs at her again and Chastille is terrified, so Zagan is surprised that someone who's afraid of frogs is supposed to be a great knight and leaves her and goes. And at night Fer writes her diary in her room, and remembers all the attempts to bother her, and says to herself she's very weak even though she's a knight, and Zagan enters her room and tells her, control yourself a bit and no pranks during work or food preparation, so she tells him, I know and I remember you told me don't kill her, so he tells her yes, other than that it's fine. Then he asks her, do you really want to stay here? So she's startled by the question and hesitates, so he tells her, if there's something you must do and don't want to say, it's fine. Do what you want and always remember me and Nefi will be waiting for you. After a while she wakes from a nightmare, when she was young and woke from sleep to find her father dead and in front of him a knight with a great sword, so she gets up frightened and goes to Chastille's room upset, but instead of killing her she pinches her face. And she returns to her room to write in her diary, Zagan asked me if I wanted to be his and Nefi's daughter, and it was a big surprise for me honestly, and since I came to this castle it's been full of mysteries, but I understood one thing only, the feeling of warmth in my chest when I'm here. I loved life in this castle, and the kind gentle treatment they gave me, and the things Zagan taught me. But sadly I'll forget my revenge if I stay here, and that can never happen, and that's why I must leave. And thus ends the record of observing the Demon King. And the next day Nefi runs to Zagan terrified and tells him Fer is not in the castle. Fer goes to the former Demon King's castle, hoping to find enough power to kill a knight with a great sword, and suddenly Raphael appears behind her saying he didn't expect there to be a Demon King's castle in a place like this, so Fer gets startled and looks at him to see the great sword, realizing he is the knight who killed her father. She gets furious and lunges at him, and Raphael draws his sword and swings it down on her quickly, so she realizes she is much weaker than him, and before she dies, Zagan appears and blocks the sword, telling her he knows he said she could do whatever she wanted but thinks he should have stopped her from coming here, and Raphael is surprised that Zagan can stop his sword so easily. Fer asks him how he came here, so he says he had a good transportation method and told him to take him to where she would go. Then Barbados appears and says he is not his transportation method, so Fer interrupts them and tells Zagan she didn't mean it like that. She betrayed him, so why would he save her? And he replies he told her he understands her feelings, not to worry, so she cries and hugs him. Zagan looks at Raphael and tells him he thinks he warned him what would happen if he crossed the line, so Raphael laughs at the idea of a sorcerer helping someone else, and Zagan tells him she is his daughter. Raphael activates his great sword and a crack appears in Zagan's magic circle, and he tells him this sword has defeated a demon king before and burned all his sorcery. For asks Zagan why he is provoking him, so he replies didn't he tell her he would show her how to take revenge properly? First, make your target use all their power, then destroy them, that's the way to make them despair, and Zagan rushes at him with a magic circle. So Raphael blocks it with the sword but is shocked that the circle didn't break, and Zagan says to himself he touched a great sword before so he learned from Marquis' legacy how to make new defensive techniques against these swords, and Raphael gets pushed back from the force of the blow. But he runs at Zagan again and swings the sword down hard, but Zagan dodges so it hits the ground and destroys it, and Zagan tells him he would appreciate it if he didn't make too much mess here, and they clash with each other and Zagan notices his new spell can only block 3 times, so he says to himself very good performance for a test but still far from being complete. Suddenly Raphael jumps at him, so Zagan dodges and punches him in the stomach with sorcery, slamming him into the wall, but unexpectedly Raphael gets up again even though the blow was strong enough to make him never stand again. Meanwhile Shastiel enters Nefi's castle and finds Barbato's gate open in front of her. So Nefi explains the situation and Shastiel says she has to go help Zagan, but suddenly drops to her knees, thinking to herself if she goes the castle knights will kill her because she will be on the sorcerer's side and that would be selfish. Nefi asks her if she is okay, so Shastiel asks her if she is not going to go, and Nefi replies Zagan told her to wait here, so Shastiel says maybe it's not the right time but she envies her, and Nefi replies she also envies her, so Shastiel is surprised and laughs, and Nefi explains she wanted to be strong and go fight beside Zagan. Shastiel replies angrily but she is his enemy, whereas if Nefi wants to go she should ignore his words and go, so Nefi hugs her and tells her because her duty is to be here and welcome him when he returns, so Shastiel cries and tells her she knows it's foolish to call them enemies when they saved and helped her, but she wants to help him even if she feels she can't. But at the same time she is a knight and no longer knows what to do, and is still asking what the purpose of her sword is, and she didn't want to point it at Zagan, she wanted to fight beside him. Nefi replies she thinks Shastiel now knows what she wants to do, so Shastiel thanks her and takes her sword and jumps into the gate. At the same time Raphael's wounds heal, so Zagan thinks to himself the rumors about dragon flesh were true, and tells Ford he thinks this man will not die easily, so she should think about the way she wants to take revenge, and Raphael tells them it seems he is very hated. For replies her father was her pride and joy, the wise dragon Urobas, whom he killed, even though he used his wisdom to help people and that's why they called him wise. And one day a group of knights came to them and her father left with them and never came home again, and she decided to search for him and after a week she found him with a sword in his body and a man drinking his blood, meaning her father shared his knowledge and wisdom with humans and Raphael betrayed him. Zagan is surprised that the legendary dragon who lived for thousands of years is For's father, and feels he can't believe Raphael killed such a dragon, and Raphael tells her since she is Uroba's daughter he has to kill her, and he rushes at her quickly, so Zagan stands in front of him and punches him very hard, but Raphael manages to stop himself and runs at her again, so For fires her power at him. But suddenly Shastiel appears, cancelling For's strike and blocking Raphael's strike at the same time, but strangely Shastiel and Raphael both drop to their knees. So Zagan approaches Raphael and asks him what exactly he wants, because he noticed all of Raphael's desire to kill disappeared the moment he heard Uroba's name. Suddenly Shastiel realizes he is the person who was disguised and told her about the group calling for peace between sorcerers and knights, and told her if she got into trouble to call the name Uroba's, so Zagan tells him to give them an explanation for all this, but suddenly he feels something strange and very powerful coming toward them. And they find a huge amount of mana coming at them, so they see a rocky monster made of demon mana, and it absorbs their mana so they all feel weak, so Zagan tries ordering it with the Demon King's crest but it doesn't obey. It fires a massive ball of mana toward For and Zagan doesn't reach her in time, and the surprise is that Raphael is the one who stood in front of her and blocked the strike, so Zagan gets furious and jumps at the monster with all his strength and defeats it, and when he returns to Raphael he finds the wound he got is very serious and close to his heart, and asks him why he did that. Raphael replies that it's his duty and not Zagan's concern, so Zagan tells him it's clear he is trying to atone for what he did. So he thinks there is another story and he must tell them everything. He tells them I didn't kill Urobas. There's no way a great dragon like that would die at the hands of a weak person like me. I went to him that day because I wanted to kill a certain enemy, and he offered me his help because the enemy was a demon. So For asks him angrily and you think I'm gonna believe that? He tells her I understand that you won't believe it. I also thought they didn't exist anymore. But a demon appeared and caused the death of many knights and a great dragon, and there's a chance demons will return in force soon. So Zagan tells him I met a demon's shadow, and I don't know if they plan to return to this world or not but they still exist, and that's why I was searching old texts to find a way to face them. So For asks meaning my father fought a demon and lost to it? He replies he didn't lose. He defeated it at the cost of his life. So she asks angrily meaning I'm supposed to hate who? He replies you should feel pride not hate. Urobas sacrificed his life to protect you and the world you live in. And if killing me will restore your pride in your father, then I accept. And he tells them demons are a serious threat, and if they return to our world that's already in conflict between sorcerers and knights, humanity won't have a chance to live. And that's why Urobas told me to live and made me do something I never wanted to do, which is the scene you saw of me drinking his blood. Then he looks at Chastille and tells her my duty is almost over, and there are now other people convinced about reconciliation. This conflict that's lasted thousands of years must end, so that we can all survive what's coming. So Barbados replies, don't expect anyone to believe what you're saying. So Raphael replies, you're right, and I don't deserve to carry the banner of reconciliation, and that's why I'll give this task to Chastille. So she tells him, wait, I haven't agreed to any of these things. And suddenly the rock monster moves again, so Zagan decides to get rid of it himself. So Raphael tells him, wait, this isn't just a rock monster. This is a monster made from a demon, and I think it's the same demon I and Urobas fought. Probably Marba took its corpse and made this thing to guard the place. So the demon fires a massive amount of mana at them, and Chastille runs at it and blocks it with her sword. So Zagan takes the opportunity and runs at it quickly and punches it with his new spell, and Zagan notices that the black mist inside it is what's controlling it. But the surprise is that the rocks breaking off it attack Zagan quickly, so Chastille saves him and cuts them all. So Zagan leaps at the monster again with his fist and this time targets the mist inside it and the monster evaporates. So Chastille asks him, what did you do? He tells her, this is a new sorcery I made. It's a shield that absorbs mana to increase its toughness. But I reversed it and put it inside the monster to absorb mana from it and burn it. But it still needs development if I'm gonna use it against a real demon. Then Fur calls Zagan to help Raphael, who's lost his left half. So Zagan tries to heal him with sorcery, and Raphael tells Chastille, I've now seen the most skilled swordswoman among all the knights, and those who share my views will help you with their strength. So she asks him, you used Urobas's name because no one believed you? He tells her that's part of it, but founding the reconciliation group was Urobas's idea in the first place, and thanks to him I continued my life. So I couldn't think of a better name than that for our leader. So Zagan asks him, then why did you kill many sorcerers? He replies, I didn't kill them because I enjoyed it. My intention was to talk to them and understand each other. I even laughed to prove to them I didn't mean harm, but they attacked me as soon as they saw the smile. And I had to defend myself, of course. So Zagan replies, in surprise, you realize how much evil showed from you when you entered the cafe? So Raphael replies in surprise, but I came to warn you of the danger threatening Chastille. So Chastille asks him, didn't you ask me about the number of sorcerers I killed when we met? He tells her, well, you can't be the leader if you killed like I killed, and said it's a number not worth pride. That's when I knew you're the right person. So Zagan replies angrily, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. Your appearance is the opposite of your intention. Then Raphael tells Chastille to return to the castle and he'll deal with those who want to kill her. So she asks him, you know who tried to poison me? He tells her, you'd be surprised if you didn't notice, and he tells Fur, please ask for my head after I finish this last mission. So she replies, tell me just one thing. In your opinion, what was the dragon Urobas like? He tells her he was a great dragon, and the moments I spent on his back fighting with him are the moments I cherish most in my life, and he leaves them and walks away. So Zagan asks Fur, are you satisfied now? She tells him, I can't decide if it's right to kill him or not. So he tells her, you did the right thing. And after that they return home to Nephi and she welcomes them. On the other side, Clavoily asks the knights, you still haven't found Chastille? They reply, no, not yet. So he tells them, I'm very worried about her. Search for her. And after they leave he says to himself, why don't you die? And he's very angry that Raphael interfered in the matter and returned her sword to her. Suddenly Raphael enters, so he asks him, what happened to your arm? So Raphael replies, don't worry about it. So Clavoily becomes suspicious of him and decides to take precautions, so he puts a strange substance on his hand thinking it's a treatment and approaches Raphael. But suddenly Raphael cuts his hand and tells him, I don't like a hand with poison touching me. So Clavoily screams from pain and Raphael puts his foot in his mouth and tells him, this is the first time I intend to kill someone for real. You and I are supposed to not interfere in the young generation, and the idea of eliminating their future doesn't work. And he kills him and tells him, I'm coming right after you, so wait for me a bit. And after that he goes to Zagan in the castle and tells Fur, I came to give you my head as I promised. So she replies to him, no, I won't kill you, but you'll spend the rest of your life serving Zagan and Nephi. And the next day we find Chastille upset when she learned that Clavoily was the one who tried to poison her. So they all try to comfort her and Zagan jokes with her. So she tells him, I was about to pour the tea that Nephi made. So Zagan replies, it wasn't Nephi who made it. So she stands in front of Fur and tells her, we haven't talked properly since I came here. But Fur is still afraid of her and not comfortable. So Chastille tells her, no problem, I'm not expecting us to get along quickly. And Chastille heads to the door and suddenly Fur tells her, visit us again. So Chastille is happy and cries. And then she tells Zagan, it wasn't a long time, but thank you for letting me stay here. And I'm not sure if I can lead the reconciliation group, but I'll do my best to make the world a better place. Suddenly Raphael puts his hand on her shoulder and tells her, I'm proud of you. So Chastille is terrified because she doesn't know he's still alive and that Zagan healed him. and she gets very annoyed that he and Zagan are talking normally as if nothing happened or as if Raphael's presence in the castle is something strange. So Raphael tells her he left the knights and became a servant for Zagan. And after a while Fur asks Raphael, do you miss your arm? So he tells her don't worry about it. So she goes to get her armor's arm and uses sorcery on it so Raphael can use it as if it's his arm, and he's very happy with it, and Chastille bids them farewell and leaves. Then Barbados appears and he's just woken up from sleep and tells Zagan I'm hungry, so Zagan tells him I want you to watch Chastille and protect her and I'll pay you for that, so Barbados turns himself into a shadow and merges himself into Chastille's shadow. And the next day Fur opens her diary again and writes in it, I never imagined I'd open the book and write again, but I returned to the castle. And now I'm fine and much better than before, and she writes the rest of the events that happened in the past 2 days, and that they are spending fun time together. And one day they go to the city to buy some things, so all the people look at them and admire them, and Zagan notices that Neffy has adapted to the city's environment and started dealing on her own. And on their way they pass by Manuela and Neffy gives her some sweets she made. So Zagan sees at Manuela's place a phonograph, and he's very surprised because something like this should be an antique and not exist. And he likes it very much, so Manuela tells them unfortunately it's broken. And she tells them that some street kids came to sell it and no one agreed to buy it from them, so they left it with me and went. So Zagan remembers when he was one of those street kids and they would find anything in the trash and try to sell it, so he tells Manuela I'll buy it, and gives her a bag with a lot of money. So Manuela is surprised and tells him this money will buy them a lot of clothes. But the device is broken, so he replies don't worry, a bit of simple sorcery and I'll make it work. And after that they return home and find Chastille and Barbados waiting for them, and they welcome her very much, and Zagan asks her what's the news, so she tells him I was busy the past 2 days because the death of Clavoyly in an accident was announced, so I was doing his leftover work. Then Zagan sits next to Barbados and tells him you know you're not invited, so he replies angrily it won't hurt you if you feed me, and Neffy, Chastille, and Fur go to make food together, and on the other side Zagan goes to his room and starts fixing the phonograph he took from Manuela, and Barbados enters and tells him you must do something about the foolish girl you made me watch, so he asks him has anyone else tried to kill her? So he replies no, the problem is much bigger than that. She doesn't stop making silly mistakes every night, like dropping a big pile of papers so I have to collect them, or bumping something and before it falls on her I save her. I can't sleep at all, and at this rate either she'll die or I. So Zagan replies I don't mind if you die, so Barbados is shocked and Zagan tells him don't worry, I'll treat you to all the drinks you want. And at the same time Chastille lets Neffy taste the food she made, so Neffy is shocked and finds it very bad. But she tries not to embarrass Chastille and tells her you did your part, now go wait and I'll serve the food my way. And at night Zagan plays the phonograph and they all enjoy the music, and they all sit eating together and Barbados annoys Chastille, and when he tastes the soup she made he loses consciousness, so Neffy is surprised and first smiles an evil smile because she was the one who put it for him, and Chastille finds out that the soup she made is very bad. And at night Zagan is sitting adjusting the phonograph more. So Neffy enters and tells him how much she enjoyed today because it's the first time they have many guests and sit and eat and enjoy together, and she asks him why did you buy this phonograph? So he tells her it was just a whim and I also wanted you to enjoy the music. So she tells him you look very sad when you remember the past, but today was different. So he tells her when I lived in the street I had no house or food source, but I had friends to share bread with. And he says to himself I wasn't alone and I realize that now. And it's true, I haven't gone there for a long time. I wonder if I'll find someone I know, and when will they all be alive? Then he asks Neffy do you mind if I return the phonograph to the street? So she tells him I don't mind of course, and they sit listening to music together and suddenly Neffy sings, so Zagan likes her voice very much. And the next day all the townspeople enjoy the music because Zagan put the phonograph in the street, and all the children dance and are very happy as if it's a festival, and Zagan and Neffy live happily ever after.